Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Salvam Park Christian Youth Talk Show. My name is Ndabin Shenglube, but you can call me Ben. And I am not alone on this platform this evening. Joining me is Pastor Kanzani Mshope and his wife Zodon Mshope. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Ben.
Yes, so good to see you and have you on this show. We are going to be looking at an interesting topic, which is called serving at home. And just before we start, I just want to ask everyone, all of you who joined us and who are still logging on, to feel free, please, to comment, to ask any questions, interact with us. We want to try as much as possible in the limited time we have to really thrash through this and just really feel the heart of the Lord in this area of serving at home. So to kick us off, we just have a clip that we'd like to show you, and it's a testimony from Mercy Ncube. So let's have a look at this.
Hi everyone, my name is Mercy Ncube. I just want to share with you my testimony about what the Lord revealed to me on serving. So I remember before lockdown, I was so fired up and I thought I was so ready to serve the Lord. Then beginning of lockdown, I felt like God set me down and He started revealing to me that I didn't even know the first thing about serving because I wasn't serving in my own home. So there were certain things at home that I would do, and then there were certain things that I always avoided doing. And because of that, I realized that that's why my home never really felt like home and it never really felt comfortable, because I hadn't fully opened my heart to serve the people around me, and it reflected to the people around me that I wasn't fully open to serve them. And because of that, I wasn't fully a child at home, and I couldn't be trusted to be a daughter who is fully responsible, who could be trusted with anything at home. So because of that, my home wasn't comfortable. So beginning of lockdown, I felt God challenging me and challenging my heart. The moment I started opening my heart to the people around me, the moment I started serving them without complaining, that's when my home became a home for me. That's when I started being comfortable at home. That's when I felt like even the people around me were trusting that they had a child and they had a daughter that they could count on in anything at all at home.
All right. Okay, that was fantastic. So I think it's only fair for us to, before we get into most of the questions, to probably define this. So here's my first question, and that is, what does it mean? What do we mean by serving at home?
Ladies first, eh?
Yeah, that's a good throw. Yeah, I think, Ben, thank you so much. And we want to greet all the young people out there that are listening to us and are tuned in today. And we really pray that the Lord speaks to your hearts and challenges you. It's a simple area, but very, very important. So back to your question, Ben, serving for me is just simply meeting a need. Put simply, it's meeting a need.
Yeah.
So I actually put myself in the life of a young person. I wake up in the morning, a bed is not made. I go and have breakfast, there's a plate that's now dirty. I sit down and eat at the table, there's a mess on the table. And the question is then who picks up after that? So it's just a place of being available to meet the needs that are around us and that we see.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, Ben, if I can just add, that, when we talk about serving, there's a difference between serving where I put my heart in it and serving where it's just an obligation.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important today that we must make a differentiation between the two, because for me, it's the difference between somebody who is a son and someone who's like a slave, where you're doing it out of compulsion. And I think it's really important that maybe as we go along tonight that we drill down and we make a separation between those who serve out of a heart and those who serve just because there's an expectation on them.
Okay, so could we say, is it a choice, or is it like a have to do? Is it mandatory? As a young person, I'm in the home. Can I choose to serve and to be involved, or is it just expected of me to start washing the dishes, to start making my bed, or raking the leaves?
I think I'll answer that one because I've got kids. We're actually talking about it that if we didn't give Simpiwe and Ununati chores to do, and if we didn't give them guidelines and say, you wash the dishes today, you wash them tomorrow, I don't think they would do them. So I know for many young people, this is not their favorite topic. No young person I've seen who voluntarily goes and cleans up until there's a certain maturity. So sometimes we feel that it's an obligation, but in fact, it's our parents training us and teaching us responsibility.
Exactly.
If I don't teach my children to wash the dishes, I am the one that's shortchanging them. So what feels like an obligation is actually a training school for life.
Yeah, Ben, the Bible makes it very clear, and it says that no discipline is ever pleasant at the time. And one thing we need to see is that when we look at the disciples of Jesus, the reason why they were called disciples is that they were men who were being disciplined in the ways of Christ. Now, bringing it back into the home, that when our parents start giving us duties or chores to do at home, don't forget that your parents don't start with complicated things. It will start with simple things when you're very small, like put your toys away, or take your plate and just put it in the sink, And slowly, as you grow, they add to that as you grow. And that's the whole thing, is that as we serve in the home, it's an opportunity for us to grow. And I think it's very important for us to keep our eyes on the big picture, that even as you're doing those dishes, the Lord is in it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's clear. So I can see there's some guys who keep logging on and joining in. So we just want to welcome you all. Welcome to our talk show. If you have any questions, any comments, please let us know. And also just let us know where you're watching from. We can just assume everyone's just from here in Zimbabwe. But if you from wherever, Mrombedzi, if you're from England, France, just let us know where you're watching from. Send in your comments, send in your questions. Today we're talking about serving at home. All right, so which will then now bring me to my next question. Is how we talk about serving at home, and obviously you're on from a Christian point of view. But now let's take it the case a young person who is a Christian, who comes from a home where mom and dad are not Christian. How do we serve in that environment? This was actually one of the questions a young person gave us during the week, that, look, how do I serve in that environment? My mom and dad are not born again. And, I feel like I don't feel like serving them in a sense, but how do I do it? How do I do it with a good heart, with a good attitude as a young person?
Maybe, Ben, let's begin with just the point that mom and dad are not born again.
Yeah.
And I know that for many young people, that can be the situation, because maybe you don't come from a Christian home and you've been born again, maybe through a contact with a friend or through contact with the church, the youth group, or through a youth camp and things like that. I think the first thing I'd want to let you know is what a grace. What a grace that the Lord can reach out his hand and rescue you and redeem you from wherever you were. You were not looking for the Lord, but somehow the Lord has reached out his hand and found you. And that's number one. And then the second thing, I think it's really important for us to realize that just because I'm born again doesn't make me have like one step higher than my parents, where I don't need to listen to my parents anymore. In fact, it's important for me as someone who's born again that in my love and my respect for my parents, that actually they can see and feel the love of the Lord. And I think that's really, really important, because often we get situations where young people are born again, and because of that, you don't respect your parents. But then what happens? In doing that, we close the door for our parents. And I think it's important for us, whether we're young or old, we must open the door in the way we conduct ourselves.
Yeah. So if just building on that, like in our local church, there's lots of activities that young people can get involved in. Talking about cleaning the tent, coming to help with, cleaning the chairs or the windows or slashing the grass. So, if as a young person, I want to come on a weekend and participate in that, knowing the fellowship that's around, knowing that it's been a week, at home with mom and dad, but I want to come and just be with the brothers and sisters, but get involved. But at the same time, there's still that expectation of at home to do this and do that. Look, it may sound like a silly question, but who do I choose? Where do I choose to be?
Ben, I think there's a simple scripture that is in the Bible which says, honor your parents because this is right before the Lord.
Yeah.
And the word of God doesn't change.
Yeah.
And because our first point of call, if I may say, the people that I'm responsible, I'm under, it's my parents. So especially if I'm born again and my parents are not, it's even more important that I meet those needs at home first before I serve in the church.
Yeah.
Many young people, unfortunately, I've seen they love serving in the church. Then when you go to their home, the parents are like, what? They were cleaning a tent there, but at home they don't even wash dishes. So it always begins at home. Serving the Lord starts at home.
Yeah. Ben, if I could just add something to that. I think it's important for us not to be, and I'm sorry to use a strong language like this, but not to be hypocrites.
Yeah.
Because Jesus exposes he speaks strongly to the Pharisees because they were hypocrites. They pretended on the outside, but on the inside, it was a mess. And we need to make sure it is better for me to be real and to be who I am. I don't want to come to church and show everybody a certain face like an actor. And then when I go home, then I take my mask off. I think it's important to take the masks off and to be who we really are before the Lord and before our parents. Yeah. And as we do that, we're going to find that we're going to win the respect of our parents.
Yeah.
Because you see, if I want to come to church or I want to be involved in the activities of the church, and my parents have seen that I'm a Christian in the way I conduct myself at home, whether they are disciplining me or asking me to do chores at home, if they can see that, hey, Konzani is a Christian in the way that he behaves, tomorrow when I say, Mom, Dad, I would like to spend the day, I don't know, on an evangelism or on a youth camp.
Yeah.
My parents know where it's coming from because they can see the fruit of it in my life. The disconnect comes where I'm telling my parents I want to go to youth camp, we're going to preach the gospel, we're going to share the gospel. But to my parents, I'm rude, I'm always fighting with them, and they can't connect. And this is when I get trouble from my parents.
For sure. That's so true. So I just want to send a big shout out to Bongani, Hazel, Ntando, Tinashe, Rumbidzai, Kanye, Michael, Melissa, Ronald, Sheila from Botswana, Prince from Mauritius, Gwen from Magaliesburg. I'll just read her comment here. She says, hello, guys, this is good. I'm from Magaliesburg, South Africa. For me, after listening to Peter McKenzie's 2-day seminar on team ministry, all I feel in our home is the same team ministry as we need to work together. Okay.
Amen.
Amen. Greetings to Jean-Daniel Saint-Pierre from Rodrigues and Esther Mutanga from Bulawayo. And keep coming, guys. Keep asking your questions. Keep bringing and sharing your comments as well. So I think we're just going to look at another clip at this time before we continue, and that is from Willard. So yeah, have a look at this one from Willard.
Hi everyone, my name is Willard, and I would just like to share a brief testimony on serving in the home. So for me, it's been a journey, being a son in the house, coming from a background where my dad doesn't go to the church as oftenly. It's been tough in its own way, I've always been a son that is willing to help with the house, just to be a support. But I think one thing that was my greatest challenge some few years back is the lack of support, from my parents, from my siblings, not really an approval, but just to feel that people appreciate you with everything that you're doing, to be a support, to be a blessing to the family. And I saw how in my own life it derailed me so much. There was so much resentment in me, there was so much rebellion in me. I would do things with a smile on my face, but on the inside I was fighting, I was kicking, I was screaming. And it's only up until about a year ago where, growing up also as a young man, it was clear to me that whatever I do in the house, in as much as yes, I'm helping my parents, I'm helping my brothers, I'm not doing it as unto them, but somewhere as I take my place in the home, first of all, it's a learning curve for my own life as I grow up, and secondly, I'm doing it as unto the Lord. And it brought so much joy and victory, if I may put it that way, in my own life, that it opened doors even in the home for me to serve and to be more of a blessing than I was, with a free heart, out of love, and just to be a blessing. And I've seen how that has helped me in my own life, even at the church. It's easier for me to serve at the church because for me, I've got a place where I've learned to be a son, and that is at my own home. Going to the church, it's been quite an easy transition, if I may put it that way. And so that's my testimony, basically in a nutshell, and I hope it encourages somebody and it blesses somebody. Thank you.
Okay.
Amen.
Amen.
Fantastic.
I like the point he made, especially where he's talking about how he was doing things with a smile on his face, but carrying a different attitude. And I think with young people, often it's easy. It's easy sometimes to just do things out of, mom's told me to do it, and you stomping your feet and you're long-faced. And I guess our parents, like you mentioned, Kunzani, they can feel that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't minister to them, it doesn't speak to them. So yeah, it's so true. But now I know we're talking a lot about doing chores. When we talk about serving at home, are we limited just to the chores, making my bed, or does it go beyond that?
I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, serving in the home is meeting a need, and now I speak especially to young people that want to serve the Lord, that want to give their lives, because what is it to be a Christian is to actually be like Christ.
Exactly.
And when we look at the life of Christ, he came to serve. He came, he gave his life, and he died for us. So sometimes it may not be necessarily chores, but being sensitive to the need around us. I really loved what Mercy shared, and I know that she lived with elderly people. So sometimes it's not washing dishes, but it's just to see what else can I do for them. Do they need something that they can't pick up from the corner that I can? So it's really learning to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit every day and responding as the Lord puts those needs before us. Then we become a daughter, and we become actually a blessing, because we're not just following the rules and doing what I must do, then getting on with my life, but it's actually being available.
Cons, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, Ben, how I'd really, really like to challenge the young people who are listening to this, that how would it be one day when mom and dad get home and you're not off in your room with your earphones on and you actually are available for them, you know, to say, hi, mom, can I make you, how was your day? You know, and to connect as a son, to connect as a daughter. Because, you know, I tell you something, I mean, it's very clear that for many of our parents, they have tough days, tough days at work, going through all the economic drama that we can see unraveling around us. And to have a son or daughter who's interested and invested in you, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. And I really, yes, we can talk about chores because they are the practical outworkings, but really we're talking about the heart. We're talking about the heart. That when my parents feel that my heart is for them and the home, this is important.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Greetings to Esther, Pierre from Rodrigues, Richard from Malaysia, Florence from Zambia. And Yaradzo, welcome, guys. Welcome. And Yaradzo actually says this is quite challenging, even for the young adults still living at home. And now, I like that because, you know, the old adage of how, especially as a young adult, you're growing. There's that desire to want to be independent, have your own space, do your own things. You know, but somewhere I think, like you're mentioning, we still probably need to keep that good testimony with our parents, regardless of where maybe in life we feel we are now, you know, where we feel we're a man, we are a woman, but I guess we're still under our parents' home.
You know, Ben, if I can say something specifically to young adults, which Ingi mentioned last week, and it was to say a young lady is growing up to be someone's wife one day, and a young man is growing up to be a husband and a father one day. So me serving at home as a young adult is actually preparing me for that very call of God that I am desperately wanting to get into. And we've seen how there's so much divorce and misunderstandings in marriage, and it's because people are getting into it unprepared. The girl is not prepared to be a wife. The boy is not prepared to be a husband. They don't know how to even take care of a kitchen, and it's disaster, and it causes problems. So let's not belittle the seventh thing, because it actually takes us further into life.
Ben, if I can just add something, it's mainly for young adults. You know, we're living in a world where there's just this unspoken pressure where you want to quickly get through school, university, so that you can move out of home and you can be independent and do your own thing. And look, nothing wrong with that. But I think it robs us of that contact with our parents. You know, because obviously as a young adult, there's things that I still need to learn from my parents as a young adult. You understand? Yes, by then maybe I'm looking at marriage and, you know, deeper financial things, but I still need my parents' wisdom. And I think that we really need to feel and to be sensitive to when that time is ripe, when I'm ready to actually leave home. Otherwise, stay home, benefit from the safety and the security of your parents, and they will continue to invest in your life, and it'll be a great blessing for you as you mature and you start your own home in the future.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. That's so valid because, like you say, you know, we're living in a world that dictates to us that by this age you should be here, by this age you should achieve that and do that, and so that's so true. But now, what if, like, just to go back to Zod, you know, you mentioned something about divorce in the home. What happens in a situation where mom and dad are at loggerheads? You know, there's fighting, there's tension, and I'm sort of caught between, you know, to support either one of my parents. So, for example, maybe mom asks me to do this, but then dad comes and says, "Nah, leave that, do this." You know, the young person in such an environment, who do I listen to? What do I do?
Ben, I don't think there's a specific answer for that. I really think that's where as a young person in that position, we really need the Holy Spirit to help us, because that's a very difficult situation to be in, and for any young person to have to live in and live through. But what I do know is that the grace of God is sufficient for every situation. And when we draw to him, he will guide us and he will give us wisdom, which we cannot say, do this, that, but the wisdom of God will speak in that situation.
For sure. That's true. So guys, keep bringing in your questions, your comments. Greetings to Mtabisi, Bongeni, Lloyd from Baitbridge, and I see Rumbi's got a question. I don't know, it's a comment. She says, I think it's also being available with your time to talk and build a relationship with those at home.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
That's all valid, because I think going back to that whole attitude where we said we can do chores, or young people, you can do the chores and then go lock yourself up in the room. There's no relationship with mom or dad. So, but yeah. So now, which brings me to another question is, now, how does serving in the home benefit me spiritually as a young person?
So Ben, when we were looking at some of the questions that we're going to look at today, this is the one that really excited us. Because, Ben, I believe that the Lord is wanting to call, to equip, and to train young people for his purposes going into the last days that we're alive in now. That there'll be young men and women who can transmit something that's true, something that's not fake or artificial or plastic, but something that's real. And for that thing to be real, it needs to be proved and tested. It needs to be part of our life. People need to feel that I'm a Christian, not because of what I say, not because I've got a big Bible, but because of what I transmit in the Spirit. And this comes from a heart that's been worked. And I want to read one little scripture here. It's very simple, and it's in Luke chapter 9. Okay, and these are the words of Jesus, and Jesus says this. Verse 23, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily and follow me. But listen to what it says from verse 24. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me will save it. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world and yet forfeit his very self? And in that bin, what I see in that is that the Lord is calling us to lose our life. When you want to watch Manchester United playing football, but now your mom says, listen, it's time to do the dishes. There and then, like there's a fork in the road. I have to choose whether I'm going to have a bad attitude or whether I'm going to accept the discipline, I'm going to accept the authority of my mother in my life. Okay? But here's the big picture. If I cannot accept the direction and the discipline of my mother that I see with my naked eye, how can I accept the discipline and correction of my God in heaven, who I can't see with my naked eye? So you see, in these small things, God is providing us a textbook, a teacher's manual for us to be able to learn practical daily things that will equip us for the bigger spiritual things when God wants to do deep work in our hearts and in our lives. I won't say yes to God when I'm praying by myself, yet I always say no when my dad asks me to go and wash the car or close the gate. It doesn't work like that. But instead, saying yes to my Father, I am equipping myself and preparing myself to say yes to God.
Wow. Can I take it a bit further there, Ben, if you have time? I think, building on to what Konzane has said, for me, what really also came to my heart is how in the spirit of the gospel we're in, if you look at the relationship of Elijah and Elisha, when Elijah went and threw that mantle on Elisha, and he responded and followed him, it says it became his attendant, which is a servant. And you look again at Joshua, it says it became the aid for Moses. And you look at Timothy and Paul, and Timothy and Silas, there's a submission of these young guys looking up to the older ones to serve. And then when we go now and look at the choosing of deacons, a deacon is one who serves. So for many young people, we actually tend to want to be a deacon and to serve in the church, and one day to be in ministry, be an elder or whatever we feel the Lord has called us to. But we don't realize the importance of that spirit of submission, that spirit of a servant, which is the very nature of Christ, which is the very spirit of Christ, and which is the very spirit of the gospel, which comes with the heart to, I lose so that the other can gain. That attitude where I submit so that I can be, I'm like a child in the home.
Yeah.
And I think as a challenge, there's many young people out there who really want to serve the Lord. And one of the biggest challenges is, are we submitted? And are we serving? What is our attitude? Even in the church, young men, obey the men that are ahead of you. What is my attitude? So for me, we may look at this topic and it sounds like just serving in the home, but literally, if we want to serve the Lord in a deeper way, there is no other way except to have that heart of a servant that God is calling us to.
Exactly.
It's like our qualification to serve in the gospel.
Yeah. That is so clear. So I guess that would be what we term a son or a daughter in the house.
Yeah,
exactly.
When we now relate it to our service here in the church, in the local church that we're a part of, and because obviously we hear that term, be a son in the house, a daughter in the house, and I think like how you described it, that probably is what we're talking about. That fits the description. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Ben. I believe that somewhere the Lord is calling us to be men and women who have got a heart for his kingdom, and he just uses the home as a training ground, because when I've got a heart for the home, my father doesn't need to tell me to go and close the gate so that, the property is safe. It's in my heart, you see, and because that's trained up and brought up in me, even when I come into the church, the elders don't need to tell me, hang on, those chairs need to be put in order, whatever. I can see I'm actually the one who's going to be a bother to the elders to say, I noticed that there was a need like this. Can I assist? And I think that's important, because I don't believe that the function or the work of the elders is to be, herding people that come on, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing. But it's very good when people are saying, hey, I'm putting my hand up for that. That's what I want to do. Is it possible? And I think that's the heart that the Lord is wanting to bring every single one of us, where we are totally invested in his kingdom.
I've just thought of a question as you were just speaking. So what if I'm a young person and I come from a well of house, and we have servants, we have people doing all these things for us, and there's basically no need for me to pretty much do any chores. Literally, my bed is made for me, my room is clean for me. Now I come to the church, I come to the church, I get born again, and do you think someone like that will fit in, or not fit in, but will they automatically understand sonship or being a daughter in the house? I've grown up and there's been no need for me to do these things, to serve in this type of way we're talking about.
Yeah, Ben, the wonderful thing is that the God that we serve knows us. So he doesn't just have a cake mold and try and fit everybody into a cake mold. But I believe that the Lord meets us where we are.
Exactly.
And if that's where you are, I think it's wonderful that we can trust God that He will begin a work in you, exposing what He needs to expose so that He can build up and groom up in you a heart of a son.
Mm.
It's an attitude of heart, Ben.
So,
Yeah.
Attitude of heart, because you can have that guy who grew up spoiled, but with a heart to learn and a heart to serve, and they practically don't know how, but the heart is there. Then you can have someone who's grown up doing everything, but the heart is not there. So it's the attitude of heart that matters.
That's key. Yeah.
And so, what about now a situation where I'm a young person, the Lord's changing my heart, and let's take, for example, maybe my parents own a bottle store, and they want me to get involved in that business, but I have convictions now of not dealing with alcohol. So how do I, talk to my parents and say, listen, this now I can't get involved in this. Where do I draw the line in such a situation?
Yeah, Ben, I tell you, it's not an easy situation when your parents are not born again and they're obviously living that kind of life. And now you, on one hand, you're wanting to obey and you're wanting to submit to their authority. Okay. And I believe that for that young person, number one, this is why it's vital, and we spoke about it earlier, that you need to be consistent in your walk with the Lord. If one day I'm on fire and I'm ready to serve God, and then the next time I'm in the world and my parents see me going up, down, up, down, up, down like this, it does not give me a good basis now when I want to say, Dad, listen, please excuse me, I don't want to get involved with the bottle store. But when I've been consistent and my parents can see that I've respected them, I've loved them, but I've been consistent in my walk with the Lord. When I say, excuse me, Dad, please can I sit down with you? Look, I want to serve God and I'm a Christian and this really troubles me. I'm not lazy. Please, would you release me from those chores? I'm happy to pick up other chores to help with the family, but this one, please, would you release me? I believe that gives you a voice to speak. But the reason why you have the voice to speak is because you've had a consistency that even though your old man has seen that. But when I haven't been consistent, then I don't have a voice to speak, and it's difficult.
I think that's true. That's clear. So, guys, keep bringing in your comments. Haven't seen anything coming through, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions. Feel free to engage with us, interact with us. You can contact us on the WhatsApp number that I'm sure is showing on the screen right now. If you have any questions or comments or anything that you would like to say or ask, please feel free. This is the platform. If you've just joined us, we're talking about serving in the home. And I've got with me Pastors Konzani and his wife Zoda Mhlophe from Harare. So, this is where we are. And so just to I know we're particularly talking about serving in the home, but obviously it involves our relationships with our parents and our siblings. And now, maybe just to come down to sibling level, if I've got brothers and sisters around me, whether it's a big family or a small family, but I've got siblings around me, and I'm the only one who's saved in that environment. But you get situations now, like any other family, where others are cutting corners, and or older brother or older sister is a bully, and we find ourselves having to do most of the work, or we're always on the roster for washing the dishes and so forth. Or even our parents. Maybe our parents are just loading us with so much work, and now you feel like this is a bit abusive, or how do we, as a young person, do I just keep going, because I want them to, I don't know, because I want my life to speak? Or is there a place where I stop? I don't know. What do you guys think in such a situation? What do I do as a young person?
For me, Ben, I think that's where it's so important for us as young people to have relationships in the church, relationships with mature brothers and sisters who will know us, who will know our shortcomings, know our family as well, so that if I'm finding myself in a very tough situation, I can go to that brother or sister and say, you know what, I'm struggling with this. And because they know us, they'll be able to give us some guidance. Of course, we've got the Holy Spirit, but at the same time, we do need the brothers and sisters around us to lead us and to help us as well. So again, there won't be a specific answer, but we can get help.
Yeah. Ben, we unfortunately, we're living at a time where issues of child abuse, the increase, and we know it's because of sin. It's the fruit of sin, the consequences of sin. And if there's anyone who's watching this, and maybe you are in a situation where you feel like you're in a box and you're being abused, I really want to encourage you that, and for you to know that the Lord loves you. I believe that the Lord will open a door for you, to get help. And I want to encourage you to proactively look for help. Look for people who are serving the Lord clearly. Look for people who are responsible, people that you can bring your life and the situation to, and people who will be wise to give you advice of what you do or of what to do in your specific situation. So it's not a case tonight where we're saying that everything that happens to you in the home, that is right.
Exactly.
Everything that happens to you, you just need to keep quiet and not let anyone know about it. If you feel that the situation at home is too much for you to handle, if you feel that it's not right, is abusive in any way, I really want to encourage you, look for help. Look for help, because I believe the heart of the Lord is to rescue his people, his children from a situation like that. Also, just to say that when our heart is pure and we're seeking the Lord, I believe that the Lord can cause even tough situations. I've heard of many people who had very hard upbringings, but somehow the Lord could work in that situation, in the midst of that situation, for the good of the children in the house, for the good of those children who gave their hearts to the Lord, And I'm reminded of that scripture, how it says that how he works in all things, for the good of those who love him and are called by his name. And I think it's really important for us to always fix our eyes on the Lord and to say, Lord, in this situation, what is your plan? What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to grow in me?
Well, look, I haven't received any more questions, and I don't have any more questions on my side, but I think I'm just going to give you this opportunity before we end the show, just to wrap it up for us. If there's anything in particular you want to say to the young person, the youth, the young adult with regards to serving at home, if you want to encourage them, please, you can go ahead.
I think for me, there's a point that you spoke about, Ben, when you're talking about the child being in a family where there's a beer hall or whatever. I do think that there are many young people, especially in Africa, where there are things that happen in the home that are not biblical, especially ancestral worship. With many young people struggle with that. And many young people will ask, should I participate? Is it okay for me because I'm honoring my parents? But I just want to encourage you that submission to the parents' authority is good. But if it is in any way undercutting the authority of God in your life, then there you can make a stand. And sometimes it will cost you. I do remember for us, there's a time that we had to stand where we said we no to ancestral worship in our home. And my mom actually locked us out. And for a while, our relationship was not good, but we had to make a stand.
Yeah.
And in fact, by us making that stand, she got born again. So let us not fear sometimes to take the stand for the things of the Lord. Not in rebellion, but in freedom, knowing that Christ himself will fight for us.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Just to maybe as a last word to the young people out there, I believe so much that the Lord is calling us. It's a time where the Lord is looking for young men and young women who will transmit his gospel through their lives.
Exactly.
When we see the young people in the different nightclubs, all these parties, especially in Bulawayo and things like that, all those people, they're lost. They are empty. But you know what? We have the answer. And that answer is Jesus. Okay? So wherever you're listening in from, just know this, that the Lord, he wants to use you. The Lord is looking for an opportunity to use you. And when we see that, then we see how valuable we are, because it's like the Lord has reserved a place for you in his team. Hey? He's reserved a place for you. He's purchased a place for you in his team. Now is not the time for us to be distracted. Now is not the time for us to be looking left and right, but now is the time for us to focus our lives. Hey? If I'm in high school, my teachers must see that I'm a Christian. Not because I'm preaching, no, but because my attitude in the class is different from the people who are not born again. You see? And in that, the Lord is glorified. That wherever you are, I could be on the sports field, I could be, I don't know, in the IT center, anywhere. I could be at university. Wherever I am, that I'm representing, I'm an ambassador of Jesus Christ. And I think it's really important that in the time that we're living in, I don't think the people in the world are looking for more preaching or more messages. The people in the world are looking for that. They're not looking for people who come as actors and pretend to be holy. They're looking for people who are holy. They're looking for people who are carrying the love and the life of Jesus Christ. And that comes because my whole life is given.
Exactly.
It's sometimes, when you're going swimming and the water is a little bit cold, you can kind of put one toe in and you take one toe out. And someone can ask you, what are you doing? And you say, well, I'm swimming. But there's only one toe in there. But I believe that the Lord is asking us to throw our whole bodies into the water. That I can say, Lord, everything I am, here I come. And I dive into the life of Jesus Christ. And I say to Jesus, with everything I am, I want to receive everything you are for your glory.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So guys, for me, this was clear. It was simple, but it was so clear and so straightforward. And I can see some of the comments. The guys are grateful. A couple of amens there. And I just want to say to Zods and Cons, thank you so much for joining us and just, thrashing through this, which can sound so simple, but yet is so true. And for me, the summary I got from it, just for anyone who may have just come in right at the end, is basically let your life speak. Let it speak at home, let it reflect the life of Christ. And when you come to the church to serve, it's just an extension of what you're living back at home. So
exactly.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. But before everybody leaves, I just have 2 announcements. And that is next week, which is the 10th, we have Pastor Ron. He's going to be sharing on serving at school and at work. So if you want to come find out about that, please make sure you tune in next week. And then on the 17th, we are going to have another talk show, and we're going to discuss that very same topic about serving the Lord at school or serving the Lord at home. And we have special guests joining us. Please keep an eye out on our Facebook page for the flyer and the poster. But I just want to thank everyone for joining us, for your comments, for live streaming. Please continue to join us every Friday at 6 o'clock. Invite your friends. If you're on Facebook, start a watch party. Let everyone come and hear this precious gospel, whether it's through the preaching or through a talk show like this. You will be blessed, I can guarantee you. So thank you once again. Konzani Zodwa, it's been a pleasure. And until next time, God bless you. Bye-bye.
Amen.